Anyone can make mistakes, but with Facebook ads, they hurt us all the most because, in the worst case, it can cost a lot of money in marketing. Accordingly, today's aim is for you to learn which mistakes are often made and how you can avoid them, so that with this video, you will get a little better for your ads. The first mistake is common and only causes headaches: the constant change of marketing strategies in Facebook ads. Many people always try something new without having a real strategy or even giving time to a strategy. As an example, this switching back and forth of campaign goals and strategies for one day doesn't help you. What's more important is that, let's say, you test something more properly and not just for one day. That's why you'd better focus on one thing here. For example, do you want to focus your ads on generating as many sales or leads as possible? Decide and stay consistent. For example, with your campaign goals, such as whether to use conversions instead of engagement, instead of jumping back and forth now, which many still do. In most cases, it is conversions in my experience. Depending on the situation, engagement can also make sense, but I would always recommend conversions at the start because, let's say, you always focus on the goal, in this case, purchase or lead. Another big mistake is building campaigns on different platforms at the same time, such as Facebook, Google, and TikTok. This often leads to chaos and ineffective use of budgets. Start with Meta first, i.e., Facebook and Instagram. Scale this channel and focus on it before expanding to other platforms such as Google, TikTok. Facebook usually offers the greatest leverage for reaching new target groups. Of course, this also depends heavily on your target group. There are products that potential customers search for more actively than others. For example, if we take a car now, a car is rarely bought spontaneously through an advertisement, but rather through a targeted search query on Google, for example. In such cases, you can use Google Ads first because people are already ready to buy, and then add Facebook, for example, later. You can then, for example, later incorporate Facebook as retargeting, as a re-engagement to retarget people who have already searched for this product and, for example, to support them in making a purchase decision. Do not start the retargeting or re-engagement ads at the same time as the Google ads in this example, but first master Google and then expand another channel, because every channel has its strengths and weaknesses that you have to recognize and deal with. The next mistake I often see is not testing new creative angles. What are creative angles? These are different approaches to how you present your product or the advantages and USPs. People have different reasons for buying. For example, if we take a shoe now, like here, person A buys a shoe because it is waterproof, person B buys this shoe because it is comfortable, and person C buys this shoe because of the color or maybe just because of the price. This means testing different approaches to maximize potential. With tools like Adverfly, you can even analyze which angles perform best in order to optimize your campaigns. Because the problem is, if you are now scaling your campaigns and have one or more winning ads that work well after running different campaigns, then these angles are distributed. And what Adverfly does here is that you can filter for specific creatives in order to then get a grouped evaluation. For example, whether creative angle A works better or creative angle B. It is also important that you test correctly and not make a decision after a day or even a few hours. In rare cases, you can also optimize on an hourly basis in certain phases and with a higher ad spend of 100,000 euros or dollars per day, for example, Black Friday or other days. However, these are rather the exceptions. When testing, you should have a clear overview and not test several things randomly, but always test individual screws. Because if I change several things in an ad and this ad then performs better, for example, I can't know whether it worked better because of one change or the other. There are simply too many factors. Basically, I'm a fan of investing 70% of the budget you have available for testing in the tests that are created based on the winning ads, where you can, for example, exchange different screws and see whether you can improve it. The other 30% are also extremely important. Here you can use random screws, which are now not similar to the winner, so completely different. This is simply because these experiments are extremely necessary to find out new creative types, angles, or something similar, so that you can always reach a new target group. The more you have of these angles, the more constant and higher your sales are, because you are now not only dependent on one target group or are not only dependent on one angle. This process is also one of the most important points and also one of the big factors in whether the ads work or not. So make sure you build a system here that you continually optimize. Let's move on to the next point. Don't underestimate the power of image ads. Many believe that videos always perform better, but that's not necessarily true. Sometimes images perform significantly better depending on the target group and product. Try natural, authentic images instead of relying on expensive studio shots. A good product image with the most important advantages that appeals to the target group can often be more effective than an elaborate produced advertising video. The additional advantage here is that you can reach other people if you have only previously placed video ads. Imagine that there are people who prefer to watch videos and others who prefer to look at pictures. Accordingly, you can, for example, reach people with image ads who you would otherwise not have reached with video ads. The Facebook algorithm knows this and shows the respective formats more to person A or person B. Even in situations such as on the train, it is easier for many users to see an image than to watch a video with sound. From countless conversations and experiences, I can recommend that you test image ads in retargeting or re-engagement, as they often perform well there. This is probably because, for example, if you have previously presented a problem solution, you have to say that you see this retargeting as a reminder because you already know the solution or the problem. A common mistake is not planning ahead. Many marketers forget to scale up successful campaigns in a timely manner or even test new target groups. If you've fully reached your target audience and are no longer reaching out to new people, your sales will eventually drop. Therefore, invest more budget in successful campaigns, especially if the ROAS is extremely high. However, always test new angles and creatives in parallel to easily generate new, successful campaigns. Your creative testing process, which we discussed previously in this video, is extremely important. Basically, it is important to always have a clear plan. Many media buyers make spontaneous decisions without giving them enough thought. It is advisable to build up a system over time and constantly optimize it, so that you as a media buyer know in advance what to do if a certain situation arises or if things are not tested twice, which means you can simply waste a lot of advertising budget, what we don't want. In summary, I can tell you that media buying doesn't just mean creating and running a nice ad, but rather building a system and constantly optimizing it if you want to be professional. With every cent you invest in the ads and every analysis you evaluate, you can further improve your system. Over time, creating ads not only becomes easier, but also increasingly profitable, especially with higher budgets, such as 10, 20, or 100,000 euros or even more. It is extremely important not to just spontaneously place ads on luck, but to do everything in a structured and planned manner. Well, that's it for this video. If you would like to see more tips like this, leave a like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to comment at any time. On this channel, you can discover many more useful tips. Until the next video, your Ejan from Adverfly.